Okay, let's continue our discussion about negative slope. All right, so how does it apply when we're going to do some graphing? Before we do it, let's make sure we understand some basics of what negative slope is. We know negative slope is still a fraction, right? So let's take negative 3/4 as an example. Remember, that means that I could write that fraction a couple of different ways. I could think of that as positive 3 over negative 4. Or I could think of it as negative 3 over positive 4. What you got to remember is that negative has to either be with the numerator or the denominator. That's the idea. All right, and let's go back and think about our division of integers, dividing positives and negatives. If I do a positive divided by a negative, like I have 3 divided by a negative 4, I get a negative, right? A positive divided by a negative is a negative. Well, what if I look at negative 3 divided by 4? What's a negative divided by a positive? It's also a negative, right? And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people will think that negative 3/4 is the same as negative 3 over negative 4. Well, that is a big that is not true at all. Because again, let's think back. What's a negative divided by a negative? That is actually a positive. And that's a positive slope, right? So remember when we're doing this, a negative slope means that one of them is positive, the other one is negative, either the numerator or the denominator, but it can't be both. All right? And we're going to look at that when we do some graphing right now. All right? Here we go. Here we have an equation, negative 2x, y equals negative 2x minus 1. And we know right away that our slope is negative 2, and our y-intercept is negative 1, right? So let's start right there, right? If we know the y-intercept is at negative 1, there's our first coordinate point. If I'm going to graph this, that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to point a point at the y-intercept. Boom. There's my first point. Okay, now what does a slanting negative 2 mean? A slope of a negative 2, right? What does that mean? Well, remember, it's a fraction. So it could be positive 2 over negative 1. And what does that mean? It means I'm going to go up 2 and left 1. Remember, it's slanting up and left, right? So I'm going to go up 2 and left 1, right? Up 2 and left 1, right? Up 2 and left 1. Count up 1, 2, left 1, boom. Up 2, left 1, put a point. Up 2, left 1, put a point. And you can see that our slope is slanting the correct way. It's slanting to the left, up and left. All right? But notice that's only half of what I want you to do the line. We have to go all the way through our graph here. So remember that it could also be what? Down 2 or minus 2 on top and positive 1 in the denominator. Remember, that negative has to be either in the numerator or the denominator. So if it's negative 2 on top, that means I'm going to go down 2. And if it's plus 1, I'm going to go right 1. So here we go. I'm going to go down 2, right 1. And you can see that my line is continuing in that same pattern. Down 2, right 1. And we are done with our line. Put our line in, make sure I got my arrowheads, and that is how we graph a negative slope using the equation in y equals mx plus b form. Remember, up and to the left is the same as down and to the right. That's what we're talking about here with negative slope. It's just the opposite of positive slope. Let's go do some graphing and let's see how easy this can be.